Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Education, Skills and Wellbeing Cabinet Board Special. I'm happy to propose myself as chair for this. If I could have a seconder, please.
Happy to second you as chair.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. As I said, I'm Councillor Neath Jenkins and I'll be chairing this meeting. Meetings will be recorded, so please ensure that your phones are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting and raise your hand if you wish to speak. Moving on to agenda item 3, are there any declarations of interest? I'll begin first with, I don't know if it's relevant, but I'm a member of Killybeabill Community Council, which may have a bearing on Rose Primary School.
Ian, is that okay with you?
I'm not sure quite what the link is, but if the member considers that there is a link between the two schools and would prefer to declare, then yeah, that's fine. As I'm sure the member knows from training, the test is whether a fair-minded observer, knowing all the facts, would consider that there was an interest.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, it's just because it's a fellow councillor, so there isn't really a link. He's also a member of Killybeabill Council.
So if you declare that, Councillor Jenkins doesn't have to leave, just declare.
If you think it's more than a professional link, we wouldn't normally have councillors declaring just because they know other councillors through the councillor role. But if it's more than that, if there's a social connection, then yeah, you declare it, and if you're happy, you're entitled to stay and vote.
Thanks. No, it's just a professional connection, no social connection. So that should be fine. Anybody else, please? No? Thank you. Right, agenda item 4. The report is on pages 3 to 34 and is here for decision. Officers, Mr. Birch, would you like to introduce the report, please?
Thank you. Good afternoon to you. Let's start off on page 9 with Alderman Davis. I'll do the usual. I'll take you through it with some recommendations and give you some background information. Alderman Davis, Church and Wales, is first on the list. We've got a vacancy there. We've had an application for appointment of an LEA governor by a lady called Mrs. Carly Davis. By way of information, Mrs. Davis is currently a parent governor at the school. We've had 2 positive references on her, and she works for the council as an economy manager. Recommendation is there to appoint.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Baglan Primary School over the page. There's a vacancy there. There's no application being received. Therefore, the recommendation is for a future appointment to be made. Secondly, Councillor Peter Richards' term of office is due to expire in August, and the recommendation is there, given that he wants to continue for a further term, to reappoint Councillor Richards.
Yeah.
Thank you. Blind Baglan over the page, similar again. Councillor Richards is a governor there, and his term of office is due to expire in August, and the recommendation is to reappoint Councillor Richards.
Yeah.
Over the page, Cattu Primary School, a similar position. Rhiann Lee, her term of office is due to expire, and the recommendation is to reappoint her.
Yes, agreed.
Kevin Syson Community School, a couple of positions here. Firstly, we've got a vacancy. We've had an application from a lady called Jane Lewis Normand. She's not a governor at the moment with us. By way of background information, she is the head of Student Academy Services in Swans University. She's got children with us in the primary and secondary schools. She has expertise in leadership, management, and related regulations and policy casework and budget management. We've had 2 positive references on her, and the recommendation of officers is to appoint her as being seen as an ideal candidate to be a governor in Kevin Syson School there. Yeah. Secondly, Councillor Peter Rees, his term of office is due to expire on the 31st of August. Recommendation is to reappoint Councillor Rees. Similarly, with Mr John Warman, his term of office is due to expire. He too has made an application for a further term. The recommendation is to reappoint him.
Yes, I think that's great, and I think Mrs. Lewis Normand, will be greatly appreciated.
Sorry, Jack, ask a question. Sorry, yeah. Only on a procedural thing, obviously, as being one of the ward councillors there, when the vacancies come up, do you sort of notify, or you do? Right, okay, there we are.
But you know, yes.
Yeah. And again, you know, the person that we are appointing is way better qualified than probably either of us, so it's a good, you know, it's a good appointment. But yeah, just for procedure wise, that's all. Thank you. Thanks.
We always ask the firstly, we always ask the local member. Over the page, then, Kilfrew Primary School, they've got 3 vacancies at the moment. One of the vacancies, we've received an application from Mrs. Samantha Sharp. Members may recognise the name Sam Sharp. She was a head teacher with us for many years until last summer when she retired. She was a head for 9 years in Blaengrach Primary School, and she's worked for the authority in schools for 23 years. So she'll be a real asset to Kilfrew if you agree to her appointment.
Yes, yeah, I fully agree, and I think she'd be well appreciated by our current standing acting head there.
The other thing is, it amazes me that people after giving a life service to education come back and still serve as well. So, you know, should be commended.
On a voluntary basis.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Coed Frank Primary School, as a vacancy exists there. We've had no applications. The recommendation is for a future appointment to be made. Over the page, Crumlin Primary School. Miss Alison Jones is currently a governor there. Her term of office is due to expire. Application is to reappoint Mrs. Jones for a further term.
Yeah.
Crynalt Primary School, similarly, Councillor Peter Rees. His term of office is due to expire in August. He's resubmitted an application, and the recommendation is to reappoint him for a further term of 4 years.
Yeah.
Thank you. Neath Primary School, Mr. Edward Jones, his term of office is due to expire in August. He's made an application for a further period, and the recommendation is to reappoint Mr. Jones.
Yeah, agreed.
Actually, there's a mistake there. Cwmtawe Community School, that should read, if that can be amended, please. Application there from Mrs. Julie Mallinson. Her term of office is due to expire in August, and she's made an application to serve a further term, and the recommendation is to reappoint Miss Mallinson.
Yeah.
Duravelin Comprehensive School, couple of appointments here. 3 individuals, their terms of office are due to expire in August. Applications have been received from all 3 of them, and the recommendation is to reappoint Councillor Keith Davis, Mr. Campbell Coram, and Mr. Paul Winston.
Yeah.
Knoll Primary School, Councillor Alan Lockyer, his term of office is due to expire in August. Application has been received from Councillor Lockyer. Recommendation is to reappoint him for a further term.
Fabulous.
Godre Graig Primary School, similar position. Councillor Rosalind Davis, her term of office is due to expire. Recommendation is to reappoint her.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Melin Primary School, a vacancy currently exists. No applications have been received. Recommendation is for a future appointment to be made.
Thank you.
Ross Primary School, a vacancy currently exists there. Application has been received from the newly elected Councillor Bob Woolford to fill that position. Recommendation is to appoint Councillor Woolford.
Yeah.
Thank you. Reed of Row Primary School, we've got a vacancy that currently exists there. No application has been made for the first one. Recommendation is for a future appointment to be made. Mr. John Davis, his term of office is due to expire in August. He has made an application to serve a further term. The recommendation is to reappoint him.
Yes. Yeah.
Over the page, Sandfields Primary School, a vacancy currently exists there. An application has been received from Mr. Clive Osborne. By way of information, Mr. Osborne is the former Chair of Governors of Cwmtawe School, having served there for 24 years. He is currently a community governor at Sandfields Primary School, having gone there to assist the school with a very complex issue. He was parachuted in as an independent governor. He enjoyed his work there. They were very grateful and they persuaded him to stay. And now his application is to convert over to a local authority governor, and that is supported and recommended to you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Targwaith Primary School, as vacancy exists there. No applications have been received. The recommendation is for a future appointment to be made. Winecurve Primary School, vacancy currently exists there. Recommendation first is for a future appointment to be made in that position. Mrs. Bethan Healy, her term of office is due to come to an end in August, and the second recommendation is to reappoint Miss Healy.
Yes.
Thank you. Ysgol Gyfun Blaen Dulles, again, a vacancy exists there. The recommendation is for a future appointment to be made. Councillor Stephen Hunt, his term of office is due to expire in August. Application has been received from him. Recommendation is to reappoint Councillor Hunt.
Yeah.
Good. Ysgol Gyfun Pontardawe, Mr. David Williams, his term of office is due to expire in August. He's made an application. The recommendation is to reappoint Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Similarly, with Ysgol Gyfun Trebarnos, Councillor Rebecca Phillips, her term of office is due to expire. She's made an application for a further term, and the recommendation is to reappoint Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Thank you. Ysgol Bay Baglan, a vacancy currently exists at the school. Application has been received from Mrs. Samantha Pascoe. By way of background information, Miss Pascoe is currently a parent governor at the school. Her child is due to leave the school shortly. She's making as all governors make, a really valid contribution to the school, and she would like to stay on after her child has left the school. She feels she's got more to contribute. The chair of governors has spoken to me and would really like her to stay on. She makes an excellent contribution to the school, and they feel that she would be an asset if she was to stay. We have obtained 2 references on her, and both are very positive. The recommendation is there to appoint Miss Pascoe into that position.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Ysgol Carrig Heath. First of all, a typing error there. Councillor Christopher James should now read Mr. Christopher James, of course, because Mr. James resigned his role as a councillor. So if the minute could reflect, please, a typo there. An application has been received from the newly elected member, Councillor Gareth Rice, who wants to exercise his right to be a governor at his local school, which is Carrig Heath in this case. Currently, there are no vacancies there, as there are 3 positions and all 3 are filled. Therefore, the recommendation is for members to consider deselecting an individual, if it helps. By way of background information, you know that Christopher James was the former member. Mr. Hugh James is a really former member, used to be a member many, many years ago. Mr. Peter Neddin is the chair of governors and is a long-standing governor of that school. It is not normal custom and practice to deselect the chair of governors, because that does then destable the school. So I would ask you to, whilst it's your decision, I would ask you to bear in mind that Peter Neddin is the chair of governors. If it also helps, the policy around appointment and removal of governors is clear, and I'll read it to you, that the first criteria for deselection is former elected members. It actually says priority for replacement will be any former elected members having lost or resigned their ward seats, followed by the shortest time served LEA governor representatives on that particular governing body.
Thank you. I think this reflects something that Jeremy and I encountered with Blindell School back in 2022, and the decision then was made to remove the candidate, well, the previous governor that had lost her seat, and appoint the newest person. So to that extent, and knowing that Chris James had to resign because of time constraints with his new work, I would suggest that removal of Chris James and appointment of Gareth Rice would be recommended.
Just to clarify, we have former councillor Chris James and, am I right in thinking, former councillor Hugh James as well? So the same criteria would apply to both on that basis. And I asked the question, have we had any indication from either of those that they would wish to relinquish the responsibilities?
Sorry, we haven't had indication from either of those. All we know is that former councillor Hugh James was an elected member many years ago and has subsequently reapplied to be a governor after his councillorship came to an end. So by that default is interested in continuing after his councillor role has come to an end, if that makes sense. But it is fair to say neither of them have said to us recently that they would be prepared to stand down.
Jeremy.
Yeah, not to make assumptions on Chris James's sort of situation, but yeah, I've spoken to him, I think, and understand that he's working away quite a bit as well. So it may be restrictive in that way. I think the ex-councillor Hugh James, I think, is still involved with Britain Ferry Town Council as well. So he's going to be there, and so I'd suggest, well, I'd second your proposal of removal of Chris James.
Thank you. And I think that fits in with the guidelines that you said. It would be the most recent one that stands down. So, yeah, okay, if we remove Chris James and appoint Councillor Gareth Rice then, please.
Thank you.
Chair, if I can just formally ask now that we've gone through that. So if you can propose and second the recommendations that you've just discussed contained within the report, and then just vote on it. So we have a formal proposal second and a vote that you are happy now with what you've discussed previously, and I've made notes, so it's all contained within the report.
Of course, thank you, Jane. That being the case then, I propose the agreed list of governors that we've just discussed. If I could have a seconder, please.
Happy to second, Chair.
And could I have a show of hands if you're in agreement? Thank you. On to agenda item 5. I have no urgent items. And agenda item 6, we now need to resolve to go into private session to consider the next report. To resolve to exclude the public from the following items pursuant to Regulation 4, 3 and 5 of the Statutory Instrument 2001 number 2290 and paragraph 14 of Part 4 of the Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972. I propose that we move into private session. Could I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second, Chair.
Members, if you don't indicate to the contrary by raising your hands, I will assume that you're in favour of moving into private.
Members are supportive of moving into private, Chair.
And could I confirm that